I hope all is going well and you're having a beautiful, blessed day. Today I just want to come on in and talk about a few things. One is I want to encourage you guys to watch the documentary, the PBS documentary, The Ride Ahead. It is a fabulous documentary that was created by a young man named Samuel Habib, and he has CP, and he wanted to find out what an independent, badass life would be like with a disability, because he has CP and he lives with his parents full time, or he did. During the course of the documentary, we see his parents actually build him an ADU in on the back of their house, and it is his own home. And he moves in there with the help of his PAs, his personal assistants. And during the course of this documentary, he travels the country and meets up with people on Zoom to find out what life is like in different stages of life. So the first question was to Judy Heumann. Well, actually, all of the questions were to everybody that he interviewed. But it seemed like this documentary went in stages. So the first question he asked was, what was your experience in school when you were growing up, and what did people expect of you? And what Judy Heumann, the mother of our disability rights movement, said was that she was not expected to do much. And of course, if we know Judy's story, if you are familiar with Judy, you know her story. You know that when she was growing up in the 1940s and 1950s, there was nothing. There was no laws that protected us or gave us any rights at all. We were not considered people. So Judy said just that. She said that she was not looked at as somebody that could do very much. And nobody ever asked her, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so Judy told him that she had to pave her own way, and she wasn't included in regular education, general education we call it. She wasn't included into the general ed system until she was in high school. And when she was in high school, pushing her wheelchair and getting around was very, very awkward for her. And so she talked about all the struggles that came with having a disability and being so young and being looked at as different. And so that's how the documentary starts. And then actually it starts with Samuel saying that he wants a better life for himself. He sees a better life for himself. And so that's what prompts him initially to go on this adventure of taking trips and of exploring what life could be like as an adult with a disability. Because nobody teaches you other than maybe your therapist what quote unquote life could be like with the disability. And what I think that this documentary is trying to get at is that we are so much more than our medical diagnoses. And so we need to learn how to live a fulfilling, full life and be a full person and not just a medical situation. And that has been something that I really have gravitated towards, and that I really I love hearing about, because I love hearing about different people's perspectives. But furthermore, he goes on to talk about the fact that in 2020, when this documentary started being created, the then presidential candidates went to New Hampshire, where Samuel is from, and all he wanted to do was go to where they were debating and ask them personally, what are you going to do regarding the rights of disabled people? What is going to be your policy, and how are you going to enforce it? And it really struck me that, one, during that time, President Biden, Joe Biden, kind of, no, I would venture to guess that it wasn't intentional, but also that it was kind of an uneducated move. He talked to Samuel, as did many other people, as if he was little, as if he was a little kid. And this man is 21 years old, and he does not verbally speak. He uses a iPad in order to help him physically, verbally speak. And so he does actually physically speak, but only those people that are closest to him, that he spends the most time with, are able to understand him. And that's not something to sit back and say, well, about. That is just a fact of life that often happens with people that are that have that sort of speech. If you are not around people often enough, I mean, if you are not around, if you are not around a circle of people often enough, those people, how am I trying to say this? Okay, so there you go. Only the people that you are around often enough know how to understand your physical speech. But the people that you are not around, I'm sorry if I offended anybody during my mistakes, but the people that you are not around will often have a harder time understanding you, if that makes sense. So Samuel uses a assistive device, and sometimes he doesn't. And also what struck me was, and made me angry, because I've experienced this too, even though I do speak in full voice and I do have that ability, people often used to look at me, and it doesn't happen that much anymore, but people often used to look at me and say, oh, you're such a cutie, and talk to me in such a way that made me feel infantile, or talk to the person I was with more than they talk to me. And that is something that needs to stop. We need to see people, everybody. We need to see people as full human beings who have their own opinion, who have their own way of communicating. Not all people can verbally speak, but that does not mean, hi Angelica, I see you, thanks for watching. But that does not mean under any circumstances that people cannot speak. Just because you can't verbalize something does not mean you don't have an opinion, or does not mean it gives another person license to treat you as if you were a 2-year-old. And so I'm kind of going off track here with what I'm saying, but when Samuel was at the airport with his dad, the person that they were connected with to get on their flight, like the assistant they were connected with in order to help rush the process and give Samuel that priority that we all need if we were to travel, and be in line first in order to board our plane or train or whatever. She started talking down to Samuel like, oh, you're such a cutie. Are you 21? And that just made me want to punch her. It made me want to punch the screen. And when you could see the frustration in his face, where he was trying to be a gentleman about it and handle it the best he could, even though what pissed me off even more was that even though Samuel was trying to breathe through it, trying to be a gentleman about it, and his dad was sticking up for him, saying, hey, you don't need to talk to him like he's a 5-year-old. He is a fully formed 21-year-old. And right when his dad gave his age, this lady leaned into it more, like, oh, are you 21? You're such a cutie for being 21. And so that made him so fired up that I heard an audible F word. And it's just like, I mean, it sends people literally, and I'm not making fun of him. I'm not. But it sent him into a spasm. That's how angry he got. Because sometimes when people have different physicalities, things happen to our bodies that we can't control if we are upset. And it's not that we want to get violent. It's not that we want to, that we have it out for somebody. It's just that some people, their physicality is such that they will go into a spasm if they're upset, sad, or frustrated, because their body cannot handle it. And if you can't physically verbalize something, that is your way of physically verbalizing it. Because having the control to take the time to speak out something or type out something on your iPad can take so much time. You just want to say what you have to say and forget it. Like, F it all. So, so that was that. And that was the bad part. The interactions with the people that made him feel less than was the bad part. But then it goes on to, the documentary goes on to him asking our big sister, Allie Stroker, who I'll always and forever call my big sister, she was in the part of the documentary that dealt with how did you navigate college. And so navigating college is a very, very tricky thing, especially when you are on your own. And my experience navigating college wasn't very, it wasn't a go to college and not come home. It was going to PCC, but Pasadena City College, but it was very, very tricky because for me, I had to learn how to transfer out of my chair by myself in order to use the restroom. I had to learn how to push myself efficiently in order to get to classes. And then eventually I had to swallow my pride and learn how to use a power chair in order to have a fuller college existence and not be the one who was physically left behind when I needed to get somewhere. But with that said, he talked to Allie about navigating college and, again, having that non-expectation from people about what you can do and what you can't do, and wanting just to be a quote-unquote normal kid. So Allie was talking to him about how her vocal coach, when she was younger, how her vocal coach recommended that she go to NYU, and she actually went to NYU and got her degree, and she, as we all know, she became the person that broke the freaking stereotype. We are no longer, or we should be no longer, looked at as the poor people who use chairs, or the poor people who are disabled, or the people that need a pity date just because we look different. And so she told Samuel that it was important for him to find a good circle of friends who actually accepted him for him, and that would take time. And then there was, after that, there was the conversation with comedian Maysoon Zayed, who, she is one of the funniest people on the planet. If you don't follow her, you should. Look her up. But she has this routine that is a TED Talk, essentially. Not essentially, it is a TED Talk. And you should look that up too. But she often says that she won the oppression Olympics. She's Palestinian, she's Muslim, she's a female, she has CP, and she lives in New Jersey. So she was saying that her way of approaching this was that people that are disabled need to accept their disability as soon as possible. Hello, I'm a late bloomer. I didn't start my acceptance until I was 39, and I was born with my disability. So, anyway, backtracking. Okay, so she said that people with a disability need to, as best they can, accept it as soon as possible, because then you gain that confidence that will send you into the world of knowing how to tell your story. And so, and knowing what you stand for and what you will accept and what you will not. And so, what she said was, don't let anybody else's opinion shape your own opinion of yourself. Be so strong in who you are and your support system that you know exactly who you are. That's what I took away from that. And then, who else did he talk to? Oh, he talked to Bob Williams about just navigating the workplace and how Bob is also a nonverbal person, a physically nonverbal person who uses an iPad to communicate. But he talked about expectancies in the workplace and that people did not often expect him to do anything. And this man is probably in his 70s. And he actually is one of the original fighters for the ADA. Without him, the ADA would not have passed. Which, on a side note, but not really, the 35th anniversary of the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, is Saturday. And so, to celebrate, I am not doing anything out of the ordinary, but yet I am. Because Saturday is my dance class day. And what people are expecting of us now are to basically lay down and die. I hate to say that like that, and I hate to be so negative, but that is what we feel like people are expecting. And we are just not going to do it. We are not going to stand for it. Judy Heumann would have never stood for it. So I would urge you guys, if you are related to somebody that is a disabled person, or if you know somebody like in your friend group who is a disabled person, do something to talk about it. Do something to support our community. Because we need all the allyship that we can get right now. Because what I'm personally afraid of happening is that, one, Medicaid will be taken away. And when Medicaid is taken away, that means health care is taken away. That means that we will have to fund our own equipment out of pocket. That also means that we will go back to not being able to access hospitals. Because if the ADA is messed with, which it's on the chopping block, so hopefully, prayerfully, it does not we get louder than Congress, and hopefully, prayerfully, it does not get messed with. But if it were to get messed with, that would mean any new hospitals that were built would not have to be accessible. That would mean any new schools that were built would not have to be accessible. And that would mean basically that we could not access places that we would want to go because they would have the right to turn us away because we are disabled. And honestly, you guys, I am genuinely, deathly afraid of the ugly laws coming back. The ugly laws were actual laws. I'm not just being cute about this. They were actual laws that were in place from, like, say, the time of, I will say the time of Shakespeare up until the 1970s. That is when my parents graduated from high school. The last ugly law was abolished in Texas in 1974. And the ugly law stated that if you were different, if you had a physical difference, that you could either be arrested or be institutionalized for being out in the street and, quote unquote, making other people feel uncomfortable. So I am going to do everything in my power until I can't anymore to be out in the, that is going to be my way of protest. I'm going to do everything I can, physically everything I can do, and be seen, because I don't want my rights to be taken away, and I don't want to be thought of as a third-class citizen. And right now, with this current administration, I never thought encouragement notes would get political, but here we go. Okay, so right now with this current administration, that is what is happening. They are saying that we are less than. They are saying that they don't care about what happens to the children of this community. They are saying that we don't deserve to learn. We don't deserve to live a full life, if we deserve to live at all. So that goes into my journal prompt, which was, what would you change about society? And truth be told, that was yesterday's, but I don't care, because that can be talked about at any time. I would change how people looked at people with disabilities. And we have come a long way, but we still have a ton of work to do. And in a space in my life and in my acceptance where I am 100% ready to stand with my community and be a part of it fully. And so I just wanted to bring that information to you guys. Look up that documentary. Look up The Right Ahead. Look up Judy Heumann. Look up Ali Stroker. Look up Bree Scalisi. Look up Jenna Bainbridge, who is rocking Nessa Rose right now, which we as a community, we fought for Nessa to become a authentic wheelchair user for 20 years. And the first time it happened was when Wicked came out with Marissa Bodie and Cece Taylor. And shortly after that, we learned that that Nessa was going to be played authentically by Jenna on Broadway. So we are making waves. We are being loud about it. We are being respectful about it, but we need to continue being loud about it as well. And so, again, on Saturday, I would encourage you, if you know somebody who has a disability, reach out to them and ask them, what can I do? What can I do to further your story? What can I do in order to support you? And supporting us doesn't always have to be physically helping us. It can be just saying something about somebody that you love, or somebody that you've met, or somebody that's, had an impact on you and sparked your interest. But it doesn't have to be, here, how could I physically help you? Although it can be, but it doesn't always have to be. So anyway, you guys, I hope that this podcast wasn't too disjointed, but I just wanted to get everything out there. Please consider being a ally of the disability community. We need you guys more now than ever before. And I foresee that this, it's going to kind of go back in time to have, or things have gone back in time to marches and things, but, it's nothing to be afraid of, because if our voices are loud, then other people won't know what to do. And they are going to have to challenge their ideologies of who we are and what we are capable of. So, anyways, you guys, I love you so much. Thank you for joining me for episode 425. Please leave your comments down below if any of this resonated with you. And also, please leave your comments below if, in fact, you have an idea of what I should do for 500. Because as soon as we know it, it will quickly be here. And like I said, I'm going to dance class on Saturday. So it is then, when I am waiting, that you will get episode 426. And I hope that you join me. I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.